Greetings Exiles, I'm Raziel, and today I'm going to go over my starter build for Synthesis, or at least the plan. So basically my planned build is Herald of Agony. I did this quite extensively with the available time in Betrayal, and I found that I really enjoyed the build. It felt a lot to me like the old Siege Ballista Juggernaut that I did many leagues back when Poison was still broken. Having something from behind you firing out these massive damage projectiles and just clearing everything in front of you. There's something satisfying for me about seeing a wave of projectiles come past me and just destroy everything in my path. So that is why I've decided to pick Herald of Agony. In addition to this, Herald of Agony, for me at least, has proven its ability to do things like the Uber Elder, Uber Atziri, just about any content in the game. And on a fairly low budget too, so I feel like this is going to be a great league starter. It's not going to be the highest clear speed, and it's obviously not the absolute best boss killer in the game, but I find it's a very strong happy middle between all of those things. Let's just go over exactly how I plan to go about it, since there are a number of ways one can build a Herald of Agony character. First off, I am a champion, most specifically for this node here, which gives you enemies taunted by you can't evade attacks, so you fire your attacks at them and they become taunted because of the previous node, which causes them to deal less damage as well, and it just gives you a lot of defensive bonuses in addition to the offensive bonus of Worthy Foe. In addition to that, I will be using bows, which makes Unstoppable Hero followed by Fortitude a really good option, because this gives us 4 to 5 for our ranged build. So that is why Champion. Champion, just when I was doing it last league, felt like the best in terms of combat flow and buttons to press and whatnot. It was a fairly simple build compared to what I'm used to, and I feel like that sort of chill gameplay is going to slow the burnout quite a bit. So with that, let's just go over the tree and sort of get an idea of what I'm planning to do. So first off, it is a duelist because it is a champion, and we're pretty much just picking up attack speed and life wherever we can get it, in addition to some movement speed and quite nicely acrobatics and phase acrobatics, just to make us that little bit tankier. In addition to that, you'll notice that there's a lot of things like Sentinel and the resist nodes, just because this is a league starter build, so resist gear isn't going to be that widely available yet. With things like that, we can reach our resistance cap fairly easily and just not have to spend that much on the build. In addition to that, I am running a few little curse nodes here just to boost the effectiveness of my temp chains. And should I get an additional curse, possibly from Whispers of Doom or anything like that, then I can run a temp chains and feeble combo and make myself all the more tanky. You'll notice that I've also picked up Spiritual Command and these minion attack speed nodes here. This is because this boosts both our minions' damage and the speed at which we can apply poisons. As you can see, my jewels are life, minion attack speed, life, minion attack speed. That's pretty much what I'm going for with the jewels. And that about sums up the passive tree. The reason we don't need much damage is because of the way that Herald of Agony works. Herald of Agony gains a large amount of attack speed, flat physical damage, and % increased damage, all from virulent stacks, which apply every time you apply a poison, which makes it really easy to get your damage numbers up on a build like this without focusing on the tree too much. So we pretty much just go completely balls to the wall with jewels like this. Now, in addition to that, the way I will be applying poison is with Barrage. Now, Barrage is great for applying poisons on a single target, but we can also give it some AoE poison application by grabbing a couple of volley fire duels. Now, when I finished this build on Betrayal, I was still only using one. I started out with two because it gave me a wider spread, but by the end I was only doing things like Uber Elder and stuff with this character because he became my boss killer. And because of that, one volley fire duel. Additionally, I found this particular Watcher's Eye with reduced total cost of skills on it, and this actually worked out pretty good for me because it meant not having to use mana gain on hit. Because in the beginning with this build you will be using a Quill Rain, but eventually you want to upgrade away from that into a +3 bow of some sort. And by that I mean a +1 level of gems, +2 support gems bow. +2 bow gems won't work with Herald of Agony. So let's just go over the items as they kind of were. I've tweaked some things from how they were at the end of the league just to make it a bit more realistic. But we start out with a Quill Rain, and as you can see from our Herald of Agony damage, we're still doing a pretty good 1.5 million there. And with a Quill Rain you'll be socketing your Herald of Agony in the coming Calamity. This is an option that will likely change towards the end of this character this time round, because there are some options for running Herald of Agony without a coming Calamity. In addition to that, you just want a high attack speed, minion speed quiver, which can be granted from either bound fossils or essences of fear. This isn't essential, but this is something I'll be shooting for towards the end of the build. Before that, I'll probably just use a high res bite. Quill Rain is a great weapon because it gives us a really fast attack speed. Our minion isn't going to suffer from the 40% less damage penalty, and in addition to all that, it also gives us 2 mana gained on hit, which when using Barrage can actually help us sustain mana quite well. For my gloves, and this is something that's going to be a little rough to get from the start, but I should be able to make it work without it, and this is a Poison Faster Attacks Elder pair of gloves, which basically allows us to 6-link our Barrage and just apply those poisons quite a bit faster because we have 2 extra links. Boots, pretty standard fare, life, resist, movement speed, dodge. Now the Solstice Vigil, this was grabbed to run temp chains. Before getting this, I'll probably just use life, resists, maybe attack speed, just a simple amulet. Rings, they both have crafted reduced mana cost of skills on them, so I'll likely have to work out a way to sustain my mana. Other than that, they're just life and resistances. And if you can, then minion speed. You want as much jewelry with minion speed as you can get because you want your Herald of Agony to be keeping up with you pretty well. Belt, a Stygian Vice with life and resists. We use a Stygian Vice because it allows us to use another Ghastly Eye jewel, which can give us some flat life and minion attack speed. Now let's just quickly go over the skills and their links. First of all, to apply our poison, we have Barrage with Withering Touch, life gain on hit, and Pierce, linked with poison and faster attacks from the gloves themselves. Now, if you don't have those kind of gloves, I would probably take out Withering Touch before I took out life gain on hit, because not all of the Herald of Agony's damage is chaos. Next we have Convocation in a single socket anywhere on our gear. This is just because the Herald of Agony can sometimes, since it uses mainly ranged attacks, get stuck behind you when you're trying to get it to kill someone in a defensive bubble or something like that. Convocation helps out. Next we have Hatred, linked with Generosity, which is very important for the way we built this character, since we take advantage of elemental equilibrium. And it also boosts the strength of Hatred. In addition to that, we have Enlighten. Now, Hatred might be switched with a different aura, or not using an aura at all, but we'll see how things play out once we get to that point in the game. Next, we just have a blink arrow with faster attacks, which is pretty much standard for most builds. Next, we use Spirit Offering linked with increased duration and Desecrate linked with Spell Cascade. I've put these all together in my bow because by the end of all of this, I had a cast spells on skill use thing on my weapon, which meant that I could automatically cast my Spirit Offering. Eventually, I did have to manually cast this, but Spirit Offering is just such a substantial damage boost for the Agony Crawler that we really need to have it available to us for bosses. Next, Clarity level 1. This is obviously for the Watcher's Eye, just so that I could get that mana cost all the way down. We then have Temp Chains linked with Blasphemy and Enhance. This is just another defensive mechanic that we were taking advantage of. And lastly, our Herald of Agony. Now this is where it gets a little bit complicated because we are using, in the beginning, our Herald of Agony in our chest. This stops becoming a problem once you use it in your bow, but in the beginning, you're going to have to think of quite a few blue gems to use in that pure intelligence chest. Anyway, that is my build plan for the beginning of Synthesis League, and the reason I picked something so simple that I had done before is because I want my first build to be a success. I want it to be cheap, and I don't want it to sort of take all of the wealth that I'm generating from it to improve the build. And this will hopefully help sort of launch me into being able to do builds like Righteous Fire and what have you. Since there's going to be a lot of interesting build options this league, I definitely want to make sure that I have the currency to sustain some consistent new build strategy. And anyway, I am very excited for Synthesis League. I'd like to thank you for watching, and good luck, and stay juicy.